everyone, it's Hayes, and of course today, why not, I had a different video planned, but you know, the Lady Chaos trailer came out yesterday, so let's do a theory video for Lady Chaos, why not? As always, I haven't seen the leaks, so a lot of people watch my videos because they also don't want to know about the leaks, so if you've seen the leaks and the leaks have Lady Chaos stuff in it, I would really appreciate it if you could keep it to yourself. Thank you very much. So let's get into it. I basically do stand by what I said yesterday, that Adrien basically expresses some of his doubts he's been having surrounding his dad this season. For example, we saw in Mr. Regress when he's talking to Theo, and Theo's like, oh my god, your dad was this great guy, and Adrian's like, did you know him? Because he was not a great guy. Then also at the end of the episode, when he's confronting the Akuma version of the statue, he's like shouting at him like his dad, like, why did you start doing this? When did you stop doing that? He's basically confronting a version of his dad, and then we also see at the end of Reckless Driver, he's like, you know, there's something suspicious going on with it. This isn't adding up. There are other clues, but you know what I mean? That's kind of what it's been building to all the season, Adrien having doubts about his dad. And he's really starting to question things, so it seems Nino is like, hey, let's go and talk to your dad's friends / his associates to try and answer some of your questions, try and fill in some of these blanks you're having and see if we can get a fuller picture. And it seems he films a video about it to post on the Zoo app to maybe, it's like a call out to Gaby Baby's friends. But do any of the adults actually use the Zoo app? I'm not actually sure. So Marinette is like, well, Adrien can't know all of that. He shouldn't know that, I don't want him to know that. So as Cosmo Book, she goes to visit Tomoe. Now we all know Tomoe and Gaby Baby were being very shady with the alliance rings, and I do assume that Tomoe did know that Adrien was a sentimonster based on things that happened in Yakusei Gozen, and that she knew about Emily and things like that, and Gaby Baby's true goal with getting the Miraculous, and Marinette knows that now too, so she's like, Tomoe, do not say a word, or I'll snap your daughter out of existence myself. Which is a much better threat than saying she'd eat both of her kneecaps, which is what I said yesterday. And it also seems she shows Tomoe the video. I know a lot of the comments are like, Tomoe can't see. First of all, with the bionic eyes, I don't actually know if she can see. Like, she always acts as if she cannot see. So, I don't know, maybe she just acts that way and uses her bionic eyeballs for special occasions. I don't know, maybe they only work when the sunglasses are off. But you know, I'm assuming this video has sound, so Tomoe could hear what Nino and Adrien are saying. So, I don't think it really matters, but anyway. So obviously Ladybug is like, you need to keep quiet, and Tomoe would be like, what if I don't? Ladybug will be like, well, I'll expose you for everything you did with Gabriel. However, to that, I think Tomoe will just be like, well, that's fine, I'll just expose you back that you've been lying to the entire city. So, I'm not really sure how that would come about. However, Ladybug exposing Tomoe would ruin Kagami's life, I would think, whereas Tomoe exposing Ladybug, Tomoe, as far as I'm aware, has no idea that Ladybug is Marinette. So it would ruin Ladybug, but Marinette, I mean, she would be upset, but her life would be fine, you know what I mean? So, I think it's less likely that Tomoe would come out and expose Ladybug. Anyway, the next stop after the interview with Tomoe, which looks so much fun, it looks like Marinette's trying to keep like a very light mood going on with the ice cream. The next stop is with Amelie, who is of course Felix's mum, Adrien's auntie, and Ladybug has presumably also visited her to be like, hey, be quiet. Now, I don't think Amelie knows half as much as Tomoe did. For example, I don't think she knew that Gabriel was keeping Emily in his personal fridge down in the murder basement. I don't think she knew that. She never gave any indication she knew that. However, I definitely do think that Amelie is aware that Adrien is a sentimonster. So Ladybug is like, hey, could you keep this from your nephew, please? Now, we don't know a great deal about Amelie, but she does seem like a good person from what we do know. So I would think she would be a bit like, I can, but I do not wish to. They go ahead with the interview. She doesn't tell Adrien the truth, but she kind of ends it wishing she could have, which is why in her Akuma outfit she has one eye open and the other eye hidden, because she only told him like half the truth, half-truths, you know? But back to what I was saying about Amelie being a good person. Again, we don't know a great deal about her, but could she be on the council? I think that's possible, although I'm not sure, maybe as the mask, or perhaps the sword, since Felix's dad did own that weapons company, so perhaps she could be on the council. But there's not really that many hints to point to it. The only hint I can think about of her being part of something bigger is in the party at Mr. Regress when they're all wearing the masks. So maybe she is, but I'm not really sure. To be fair, we don't really know a great deal about Felix's mum. But now she could be like, she's on the council, she wants to be there for Adrien, now his parents are gone, so she is annoyed at Ladybug that she can't tell her nephew the truth, so she gets akumatized, and the akuma design reflects the lie she had to tell. And it also seems she was holding, I thought it might have been a chess piece yesterday. A lot of you are saying it's perhaps a wax seal. This is what a wax seal is, and I think that's definitely more plausible. Why she has it in the scene exactly, I have no idea. Just keeps it on a person, why not? And this wax seal then transforms into the staff, which looks like it'll be her weapon during the Akuma fight, and it seems possibly her general power, judging by her name, is to create chaos. So inside this bubble you can see all these cars piled up, so she's creating literal chaos. However, the source of frustration here is her family. So she is annoyed at Ladybug, however she wouldn't have to lie about these sorts of things if, her family didn't end up being the way that they were. And I think possibly maybe Amelie, depending on how much she knows, maybe thinks Gabriel kind of did ruin her family a little bit, which is maybe why the crest comes into it. So which is why she, in her anger, basically kind of like stamps it on the floor or whatever to maybe like solidify like, hey, this is my family now at the current state they're in, and has nothing to do with this man because he was awful. I'm not sure. Like, I like the idea of like the family crest and what it could represent, but I'm not entirely sure the relevance here. I don't know, maybe just like seals in the chaos or whatever. Maybe. But it does seem a little bit odd from the rest of the information we have for this episode. But perhaps in her akumatized state, she admits that Adrien is a sentimonster. Now, of course, we all know that Adrien is Cat Noir, but Amelie doesn't know that, the rest of the heroes don't know that, so it would be super, super satisfying in this episode, I think, if Adrien were to find out he is a sentimonster, kind of by mistake, that Amelie just blurts out, because Akuma villains do seem to have a lot less control over themselves, as they do when they are not akumatized. This episode, and honestly this season, when it's an Adrien-focused episode, has really been honing in on him wanting to find things out, questioning things, wanting to discover what really happened, because he's very confused. You've seen it in other episodes, like I mentioned at the start of the video. He is still very, very confused. So I think it possibly could come to a head in time for the finale if he were to find out in this episode that he is a sentimonster. And in general, I think it would make the season feel a little bit unsatisfying if he finds out nothing. I highly doubt he's going to find out absolutely everything about what was really going on all at once, because it's going to be too much to process, and I just think they're going to kind of delay it a little bit, feed in like little bits of information before he finds out everything. Plus as well, it's going to be a lot to process for him. I know we all know of it, but he doesn't. So I think it's going to be better if they reveal it to him slowly, and by first of all telling him, hey, you're actually a sentimonster. That's going to be a first big clue as to like, there was a lot more going on. And again, it also fits the episode name, because often the Akuma name, obviously, yes, it references the name of the Akuma villain, but it also references what's going on in the world around them. Amelie would inadvertently create chaos because she's just let Adrien know, hey, you're actually a sentimonster. And he would have to grapple with that for... I don't know. But I think it'd be really interesting to see Adrien go on that emotional journey and have him get used to that. And then perhaps next season feed him other things directly about his dad. So I think that'd be fun. However, I do have two questions. First of all, where is Felix? I'm not his biggest fan. I never pretend I like Felix. He's growing on me like mould. But otherwise, I'm not his biggest fan. But I definitely do think it's a little bit odd to have his mum akumatized and not have him involved. I'm not saying Adrien can't be involved. She's still his auntie. She looks exactly like his mum. So I do think it's pertinent to have Adrien involved. And I do love an Adrien episode. But I definitely do think it's a bit odd to have Felix's mum be akumatized, but Felix not to actually be there. And I would assume if he's going to have been in it, he would have been in the trailer already. So I do think it's a bit odd, but whatever, I'll survive. And also, Natalie. Like I said, I think Nino and Adrien are putting out the call to Gabriel's closest friends, his associates, to try and work out what was really going on. Now, as we all know, Natalie is very much against Adrien finding out. She's like, absolutely not, you had your chance. If you were going to do it, you should have done the London special, and you didn't, so we're not doing this. She's like, you had one go, you decided not to do it, so we're done. We're lying to him for the rest of his life. And we gotta live with that. She doesn't want him to know, so I'm not sure how useful talking to her would be, but I would assume they perhaps, she's on their list to go and talk to, since You know, she was pretty close to Gabriel. She was his assistant for how many years. She did used to have romantic feelings for him, which Adrien did seem to recognise himself in season 3. So I'm assuming she will come into it. She's just not in the trailer. But anyway, besties, that's all I have to say. Of course, I'll let us know what you think. I think the thing I'm the most unsure about is a thing with a wax seal. I'm 100% confident it's a wax seal, and I am 120% confident that it's the seal of the family. And I get it's like the weapon she's been given as the Akuma. But what does her stamping that seal on the ground actually mean? You know? I don't quite get it. Is it part of the power? It possibly looks like she stamps the staff on the ground to create the seal in the first place, which creates the dome. But, okay. I'm not really sure. But anyway, besties, I'll let us know what you think about this, and I will see you in the next one.